Hey everyone, so it's been a while since my last video. Yeah, I know I took a break, I disappeared for a bit. Life kind of got really busy. Other things was like pulling me away from the YouTube. And honestly, no matter how many excuses I give at the end of the day, as as reasonable and as logical and it makes sense, that I couldn't be here. At the end of the day, it's an excuse. And I didn't do anything. So, yeah, honestly, other things, like I've been avoiding some things. But today I am back, and in this video is going to it's, it's a bit of a confession, okay? I think you might remember, like if you've been following me on this channel, you might remember that I have talked about this topic before. So it's nothing new. And honestly, all the topics that I talk about is really nothing new. It's just some things that we kind of have to hear a million gazillion times from like 100 dozen people for it to actually register and we actually do something about our lives, because some of us are just that dumb. So yeah, but here's the thing, okay? Here's the thing about it, like no matter how many times you hear these things, understanding it once or twice, it's never enough. Okay. So you kind of have to, live it. You have to fail at it, and you have to, most of all, reflect at it. Okay. And most importantly, you need to admit that you are wrong when you've been wrong. Okay. And that's really a hard thing to do if for anyone, okay? Because everyone's got an ego. So, and I'm gonna be honest. I have been as guilty as just about anyone doing this. Okay. So this isn't another motivational video. Okay, this is me taking a look in the mirror and saying I have been my own worst enemy, and I am here to challenge you to do the same. Think about yourself for a moment, okay? You have dreams, you have goals, and maybe you're working hard. You have been sacrificing a lot to get to where you are, okay? You're chasing your dreams, you're chasing your purpose, or, maybe you don't know what your purpose is. I can understand this. Like you're completely lost, but you're working hard to get somewhere and like to survive and live off your days. But something feels off, okay? Something feels completely off. You feel stuck, and it's very frustrating. I get it, okay? It's like you are running in circles, and you do everything that they told you is right, but you're doing it, and well, nothing is happening, okay? And you're asking yourself, what am I doing wrong? Like, why? That's the $1 million question. Why? Why is it like this? Why? Wait, wait. Maybe let's blame the economy, okay? We can blame the economy. Sometimes our economic situation is just not the best. Not the best for, our situation. Let's blame luck. Maybe you were just born to be this unfortunate person who's broke all their lives and is an absolute loser. Maybe you just have the worst luck. You were born with terrible luck. Maybe, like, there another possibility. Other people, are are taking your opportunities, the opportunities that you deserve, that, it's meant for you. And, and Sure, all of these things happen. It does happen, okay? But here's the real kicker, okay? What if the real problem all along is you? Yes, I've said it, you know, you. You, me, both of us, you and I, we're the problem, okay? You and I are the problem. For the absolute longest time, I have been self sabotaging. And yeah, I'm absolutely guilty of self sabotaging myself. And I don't mean in a small way, I mean in big ways, little ways, and sneaky ways, and ways that I didn't even notice at first or thought it was possible. Okay, I have delayed opportunities. I have avoided challenges, and I have convinced myself that I wasn't ready. I'm not enough. I'm not, prepared, and blah, 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 blah. I have delayed a lot of my future, a lot of my success, and a lot of my dreams. Yeah. And it's painful. It's painful to admit that. While I was like thinking, when I sat down to think about this, it was just like soul crushing because I have these moments. I, like everyone else, every now and then you'd have these moments where you just sit down and you're like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? And then you start to get a flashback of all the things that you've been doing to screw yourself over. And you're like, I'm an absolute dish to myself. Like, seriously. But, like, you just sit down and you're like, I failed myself. I failed myself. It's depressing to admit that, to like to say it out loud even. But like sometimes we do have to vent it all out. Okay. So if you need to cry, do cry about it. Because you really need to feel guilty to be able to actually do something in a positive way. You have to feel regret in a positive. I'm getting off topic. Okay. But let me tell you the truth about self sabotage. I'm not trying to like paint self sabotage and say like it's a good thing. No, self sabotaging is not really failing. Okay, it's this whole thing that you end up self sabotaging yourself is it's it happens when you're trying to protect yourself. Okay, you're trying to protect yourself from discomfort. You're trying to protect yourself from the unknown, and sometimes it just protects yourself from great things. Self sabotage is a very sneaky. Okay, some people live out their entire lives not noticing that they have been self sabotaging themselves. But the most guilty, and they're not guilty because they didn't know. Okay, they didn't know. But the most guilty people are people like me and maybe you. Okay, who kind of see, like you kind of like in the moment of you doing it, you kind of know that you're self sabotaging yourself, but you're leaning into it because it's like more comfortable and like familiar, and like you don't really want to be uncomfortable over here. That's the most guilty, you know. And this kind of thing, like if you're someone who, hasn't noticed or start to notice and you're trying to question and like picture back to like when you're self-sabotaging, okay? These little things, it hides in your everyday actions, okay? And the most easily identified is like procrastinating, overthinking, avoiding task and risk, and waiting for giving excuses, even the reasonable ones, and, waiting for the perfect moment. Because in the moment, it it doesn't feel like you're sabotaging yourself, you know? Because you feel safe, you feel strategic, you feel smart actually. You feel like, oh, I got a plan, I'm doing this, I got this. And it's familiar, like I know this, like I've done this before, sort of thing. But I'm here to tell you that your comfort is often, more than often, the enemy of progress for everyone. And I know this too, and I have avoided it more than I would like to admit. So, yeah, I've learned this the hard way. Okay? So, let's talk a little bit about what exactly is self-sabotage. Okay, what is it really? Okay, so it's not procrastination or being lazy, it's more complicated than that, and it goes way deeper into the psychological stuff and blah blah blah. But let's just go like over a brief explanation about what it really is, okay? Overall, it's a defense mechanism, okay? It's a firewall to protect you. It's protecting you, okay? So you can't really blame it, It's a way that your brain tries to protect you from discomfort, from failures, from rejection, or even success, because it's trying to protect you from being hurt. Like if you're uncomfortable, you're getting pricked, it hurts. If you fail, it hurts your pride, and it hurts you. If you get rejected, it's trying to protect you from these possible situations that could result from the actions that you are taking. Okay? So sometimes that also results in protecting you from success, in protecting you from your dreams and your goals and whatever it is that you are trying to achieve in life, that you want, that you are passionate about, and blah, 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 blah. Okay? So, yeah. What you need to realize is that success overall, there's no way around it. It's going to be uncomfortable and sometimes extremely uncomfortable, especially for those who are not familiar with it, like super not familiar with it. Like, think about it for a second, okay? Think about it. You get a perfectly great opportunity, like you've been, like you could only dream of getting this opportunity, and then suddenly something feels off. You start to feel insecure, you start to hesitate, you start to question your worth, you delay, you overthink, and then you convince yourself that you are not ready, that you are not capable, that you are not worthy, or anything like that. You know, that is self-sabotage in action, okay? You are self-sabotaging yourself, okay? Because, and the worst part about that situation is that when the opportunity slips, you're like, shoot, I could have I could have taken that opportunity. You know, all messy and unprepared and whatever, not good enough, from where I was, I could have taken it, and like, damn it. You're filled, like, and then you're just filled with regret. Or you can just like play the delusional game, to avoid getting hurting your own feelings, and be like, oh, it's just not meant to be. It's part of fate. It's not God's plan for me. I swear to God, if you have ever said that? When it comes to self-sabotage, sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's very subtle, and like you just can't really catch it. It's like there, but like you can't really tell. Like your day is filled with, small tasks, so you don't end up tackling the big scary ones, or you're reworking something, like 100 times over, like, damn, this is not, like, you're trying redoing it, because like you're afraid to release it into the world as it is, because like it's not perfect yet. Like, I am guilty, absolutely guilty of doing that. I even did that with this video. Yeah, I even did that with this video, just to let you know. So yeah, it's sneaky. And if you do not notice it, it can quietly destroy your progress, your confidence, and your dreams. Self sabotage is, as the word speaks for itself, it's you sabotaging you. So let's talk a little bit about it, okay? Let's get real. There are some patterns that show up in almost everyone who self sabotages. And yes, I can tell you that I'm going to give you a list. I'm going to give you a list of them. And I am going to admit wholeheartedly that I have most likely done every single one of them. Guilty as charged. So let's begin. Number one, God, thinking about it. I did this for this video too, by the way. Number one, perfectionism. Okay? Perfectionism. You're always almost done, okay? Always almost done. You're using your insecurities as an excuse to an excuse to logically justify your actions. You're polishing, you're tweaking, you're adjusting, all for the greater good that this turns out perfect. And you convince yourself that it has to be perfect. Meanwhile, the opportunity passes you by. And you're like, damn, shoot. I guess it was fated to be. And you start to blame some external cosmic plan, or even worse, you realize that you could have taken action right there and then. You could have taken the opportunity that you, like, as you were, like, you didn't actually have to be perfect, to like do it. You realize this and you're like, I am terrible. I am a terrible person to myself. I am guilty for doing this, okay? I am absolutely guilty for being a perfectionist and using being a perfectionist as an excuse to delay a lot of things, to delay my future, to delay my success. And I'm sure that a lot of you and the person that's watching this probably does the same too, okay? So I can see you and I know what you're doing because I'm doing the same. And I am telling you that we need to stop this stupid chain, okay? Because at the end of the day, there's nobody who's hurting us but ourselves, and we cannot turn back time, and all that we are going to be left with is regret. So that's number one, perfectionism. Number two, this one is my favorite. This one's my absolute favorite. Procrastination. Okay? Waiting until the last minute because, you know, you work best under pressure. Okay? We've all said this, right? I'm pretty sure you've said this. I've said this a lot of times. And if I was gonna say where I developed this habit of procrastinating and saying and using the excuse of I work better under pressure as for procrastinating, I'd say it originated from school. Okay, you see, I wasn't really fond of studying. I'd say, like I would leave it until last minute, and because it was the last hour before the test, I would end up not falling asleep while studying because like my brain is on hyper focus, and and the thing was, what really supported this habit of mine was the fact that I wasn't a terrible student. It always worked out for me, you know I my grades were A's and B's. Okay, I was okay. I was a little above average, but like not the top in the class. And that kind of fueled this habit. So, and I've now apply it to just about anything that I do in life, which is not a really healthy thing to do, I tell you. So, like, at the end of the day, deep down, looking back at it, it's fear. Like, what the hell were you scared of in school? It was fear of discomfort because I wasn't really comfortable with studying. It was fear of like not wanting to study and actually show up and do all the work and put in the effort and still suck at the test, that kind of fear. And it's the same with life now. I have used this excuse far too long, and it's been hurting me for far too long. Okay, so moving on to number three. Number one was perfectionism. Number two was procrastination. And number three is negative self talk. That really negative voice inside your head that tells you you are not smart. You are not capable enough. You are not enough. And these opportunities are just too good for you. And with the situation between this, little negative self talk is the fact that you believe it, the fact that we believe it, the fact that I believed it. Because let me tell you something, okay? Let me tell you something. None of it is true, okay? You are far more capable than you know. You are far smarter than you know. And you are more than enough. You are more than you could ever know that you're enough, okay? Because here's how it works, okay? According as he acts, okay, this is in Hindu, okay? According as, I'm not trying to be religious, I'm just trying to like give you some evidence of, like that it's in ancient scriptures and whatever. I've found like a bunch, okay? And it's not like in religious, okay? Like in civilizations and, like their texts and proverbs and whatever. I've digged and I've found a lot, okay? That, let me just say this one too, okay? In Hindu, it says, according as he acts, so does he become. So he who does good deeds becomes good, and he who does evil deeds becomes evil. A man becomes pure through pure deeds. And now you're like, why are you getting religious and stuff? No, stop, okay? This means that you become what you become. You do like what you do, you become, okay? You will become whatever path you choose to live, you choose to walk. So if you choose a path of, like getting a 9 to 5 job, working a 9 to 5, you're going to get retirement. If you walk the path of studying money, you will become rich. If you walk the path of food, you will become fat. And if I'm slowly going down that road, by the way. And if you walk the path of fitness, you will get a shredded body. Okay, that is how it works. If you walk the path of success, if you walk the path of your dream, what will you get? Success. You will get your dreams. You will get your fulfillment. This one is in Buddhism, okay? What you think you become and what you feel you attract. What you imagine, you create. It is an ancient text. Up until now. Now we have Think and Grow Rich, and in that book it says something like, whatever a man thinks a man can do, a man can achieve. Okay? It has been dated way back into like the early centuries that whatever a man sets his mind to, a man can do. Okay? Moving on to number 4. Number 4. Okay. Self-doubt that stops you from starting. Okay, so number 1 was perfectionism. Number 2 was procrastination. Number 3 was negative self-talk. So now let's talk about self-doubt that stops you from starting. Now this is a bit similar to the number that we just got over, okay? Let's see, okay? You have great ideas, way better than mine, okay? But you never launch them. You research, you plan, and you've prepared, but you don't start. So, what better are your ideas than mine? They're on the same level. They're on level haven't started. Okay? This fear is disguised as logic, which is like really hard not to kind of point out and notice because it's logical. It makes sense to you. Okay, I've done it, you've done it, and it is a pattern that we have to all to break eventually. Or else, it's just not gonna work. Okay? I read somewhere. Okay, you can do research and you'll find the original text, but I have read somewhere that I think it was in Proverbs, probably. But I've read it somewhere, okay? I know that I've read it somewhere. Don't call me crazy. I'm not making up things, okay? I read somewhere that whatever you tell yourself, whatever you tell your mind, it is true. It's true. It's the truth. You say you're wrong, you're wrong. You say you're right, you're right. But then you're like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Are you sure? What if someone says the sky is blue and then I say the sky is red? You know, I like I'm the one who's wrong. They're right because the sky is blue. No. Let me tell you, no. In fact, the sky is red to me. To me it is right. Okay, imagine, okay, you're a blind person and all your life you've been told that the sky is yellow. Okay? All your life you've been told that the sky is yellow and the grass is purple. When you finally see again, you're going to point at the blue sky and say that it's yellow, and you're going to point at the green grass and say that it is purple because that is what you believe. It is right. You're right. So if you tell yourself that you are not enough, you are not enough. If you tell yourself that you can't do it, you can't do it. If you tell yourself that you can do it though, you will be able to. If you can tell yourself that you are going to be a millionaire, you will be a millionaire. And I don't just mean tell, I mean believe it. And I'm saying this like belief. Whatever you believe is true. It is true until you are proven wrong. Because when you are proven wrong, you will realize that you are not right. But when you think that you are not wrong, you will never be wrong. That's how it is. Number 4 is something that I go through on a monthly basis because I am just dumb. Oh no, number 4. Number 5, okay? Number 1 was perfectionism. Number 2 was procrastination. Number 3 was negative self-talk. Number 4 was self-doubt that stops you from starting. Now, number 5, burnout from doing too much, okay? You take on everything, you take on work, you take on family, you take on extra projects, and you take on everyone's responsibility. Like, maybe you can justify and say that you're the eldest daughter. I'm the eldest child, okay? So I feel responsible a lot, okay? And so, so as the eldest child, I take on both work, both family, and everyone else's responsibilities, okay? Until I crash, along with, my YouTube and, things that I have to do, you know, stuff that I work on for myself, and when you finally crash out, you're like, you hear, like, there's that voice, that negative self-talk voice inside your head that tells you, see, I knew I couldn't handle it. But the reason why we do this, okay, this one is kind of woven from all 4 that I have just talked about, okay? Because, burnout from doing too much, this is the kind of thing that happens because, you are procrastinating, and, procrastinating doing what you're supposed to do by doing things that don't really matter but are significant enough to give you an excuse to not do what you're supposed to do. Okay? So, and it's also woven in perfectionism because you are trying to perfect and you're doing it over and over and over again until you burn out and you crash out. And when everything is ruined, you tell yourself, like, see, I knew I couldn't handle it. And the reason why that you are doing all of these things is so that you can prove you are doing this for the purpose of proving that you cannot handle it. But the problem here, don't be like, see, I knew, there's just some things that, are impossible. That saying, um, impossible is impossible. That's all bullcrap. But no, okay? The problem here isn't your capacity, okay? It's your boundaries. You have no boundaries, okay? You have no priority. You're ignoring your boundaries far too often, and it is costing you a lot of waste of time, a lot of waste of energy, and a lot of waste of effort in places that do not need your presence. Because some of these things can be leveraged, some of these things can be delayed, and some of these things can be postponed for for the things that you actually need to do. Okay? Because even if you have all these tasks, and then at the end of the day you're like, shoot, I couldn't do that one thing that I had to do because I had to do all these other mountains of things. At the end of the day, you are just making an excuse for that very important thing that you should have done. So, burnout from doing too much. That's number 5. Number 6. Moving on. Number 6. Okay, number 1 was perfectionism. Number 2 was procrastination. Number 3 was negative self talk. Number 4 was self doubt that stops you from starting. Number 5 was burnout from doing too much. Number 6, let's talk about avoiding help or feedback. So, I'm guilty of doing this sometimes. You see, my dad knows a lot. Okay, he knows a lot. And, he's gonna feel smug when he watches this video and hears me say this. But he knows a lot, okay? And he's he's very experienced in media and this kind of thing. And maybe it's my ego, okay, but I try to do everything alone. You try to do everything alone too. You're avoiding mentorship, you're avoiding coaches, you're avoiding critique because you've got an ego. You've got an ego. And sometimes, sometimes this ego hides behind your insecurities and, whatever excuses that you have to make, okay? But in the end, like, it's ego, okay? Because deep down, you're afraid. Okay, deep down, I was afraid that, I I'm that I'd realize through mentorship and, getting help and feedback that I wasn't as good as I thought I was. Okay? Or, much worse. Because, like, for me, like, sometimes it's easier to take that, but, like, much worse is realizing that I was capable of so much more than I thought I was, that I ever realized. And that really hurts your ego because you start to realize that you've been wasting away all your talents and all your skills and all your potential. Okay? So I have avoided guidance for years and it really held me back. So I'm really telling you that you need to suck it up and, put yourself out there to your mentor and to your coach and to so that people can criticize you, like whoever's what, like, you please criticize this video. I know there's like a lot of crappy stuff with this video, so criticize this video. And I don't mean, there's a difference between cyberbullying and constructive criticism, just letting you know, okay? No, like, that kind of negativity on this channel, please. Okay, so that was number 6, avoiding help or feedback. Moving on. Number 7. Okay, number 1 was, let's go over it again. Number 1, perfectionism. Number 2, uh, procrastination. Number 3, um, negative self talk. Number 4, self doubt that stops you from starting. And number 5, burnout from doing too much. And number 6 was um, avoiding help or feedback. Okay. Last one is number 7, quitting too soon. I am absolutely guilty of doing this. Okay. Quitting too soon. And I would say that this is a habit I built from starting from, I'd say, sixth grade. Because sixth grade, I discovered my unique talent of, being an artist and writing. And I wrote a lot of, incomplete stories. I have drawn a lot of incomplete pieces. And I didn't think that that habit would, bleed into the rest of my life, which it has. So yes, quitting too soon. You start off. You know how it goes, yeah. You start off strong. Motivated, pumped, hyped to get this shit done. Sorry, to get it done. You know. Then it's gone. Not even a week into your project, not even to 5 minutes into your project, and you're snuffed out. Okay? Abandoning projects because failure felt safer than actually trying harder. I have felt guilty for this for the longest time, okay? I have a couple channels that I quit too soon on, and a couple of projects that I've on too soon that I absolutely regret to this day not completing and going through with it. I will go back to them soon. So, yeah, at like during that time, experiencing that fear of not wanting to fail, it felt logical. It felt very logical to quit. To be like, I'm gonna fail anyway, so I'm just gonna quit, okay? But the thing is, we think that we are playing it safe by quitting before we fail, but the thing is, quitting is failure itself, okay? Because what I have learned, and I hate to admit, I've hated for the longest time to admit, is that trying means you haven't failed. So even if it doesn't work out, as long as you're trying, you didn't fail. Okay? You didn't fail because quitting is the only form of failure. That is the only form of failure. So let's be real. That was the last one. Let's go over it again. Okay, number 1 was perfectionism. Okay, using perfectionism as an excuse. Number 2, procrastination, putting it on hold, saying that you work better under pressure. Number 3, negative self talk, telling yourself that you are not enough, but I'm telling you, you are enough. Number 4, um, okay, number 3 was negative self talk. Number 4, self doubt that stops you from starting. Stop doubting yourself, okay? Whatever you put your mind to, you can achieve. Okay, make that your morning mantra. Okay, make that your mantra before you do anything. Number 5, um, burnout from doing too much. And what I mean by doing too much is doing too much that don't actually matter. To avoid the thing that actually matters. You need to stop that. You need to face the music and do what you really need to do. Number 6, avoiding help or feedback. I know it sucks. I know it's very hard to listen to to people say that you aren't as good as you thought you were, or like you have so much more that you have been wasting away. I know it sucks to have your ego take a hit, but you have to go through these things to actually grow. And lastly, quitting too soon. Quitting is the only form of failure. Okay, because that is the only form of failure. Okay? You don't fail before you quit. You quit before, like, you don't fail. You don't quit before you fail. You fail because you quit. That's how it works. So let's be real. None of us wakes up one day and then decides to self-sabotage themselves. Like, we're not like that, okay? We're not like that. It's not an intentional thing, okay? These patterns are formed over years, and sometimes, even when you realize these patterns, it's hard to get out of it. And I'm speaking from my experience. I can tell you that I almost did number seven. I did all of these things that I've told, that, the things that I've listed of self sabotaging. But I almost did number seven. Okay? These are patterns that have been formed over years. Okay? Maybe even decades. And so I understand that sometimes just realizing and being able to identify it is not enough. Maybe this all stemmed because you were told you'd never amount to much. Maybe someone mocked your dream. Maybe someone tried, maybe someone said that you would never achieve anything in life. Or, maybe you tried once and then you failed and it took a hit at you real hard and traumatized you, and your brain just want to protect you from ever feeling that sort of pain again. And so you never try. You know, so yes, sometimes even success feels is well, scratch that. Success is always going to be uncomfortable because success to people who've never succeeded is new. It's unfamiliar. It's uncomfortable. It's the unknown. So when it gets close, many of us panic. What the hell is this thing coming close to me? And panic. Okay. What happens if we succeed? What if people expect more for? Oh, okay. Talking about this, I am guilty of thinking this. Okay. What if I succeed? What if people started expecting more from me than I am ready to give? This is a thought that has crossed my mind a lot of times, and I am telling you, you need to shut it up because it has sabotaged me a lot. Okay, I have avoided a lot of things that I could have achieved over the fact that I was scared that more would be expected of me. I have turned down a lot of things because of the fear of what if they expected more than I could have given. That has sabotaged me a lot, okay? There's always the what if we lose it all? What if, I get embarrassed and humiliated? I'm a bit okay with that, but what if people expect more from me than I can give? That one really hit a mark on me a lot of times, and it has held me a lot back a lot of times. And I am telling you, do not let that happen to you too. I have felt that fear, and I let it control me. And I'm telling you not to do the same. So let's have a little wake up call, okay? Let's talk about responsibility and consequences, okay? Whatever we do, whatever we choose, it comes with both responsibilities and consequences. Every single decision, every single choice. So here is the twist that I want you to remember. Okay? I am guilty too. I have escaped responsibility time and time again. I have blamed my circumstances instead of my choices. And the truth, you are not exempted from this either. Your actions, your decisions, your excuses. They all have consequences. And if you do not take responsibility for them, someone else will, and they will reap the rewards. 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 I'm not saying punishment. They will reap the rewards. So, what exactly does responsibility look like in this context? You know, responsibility in this context means owning your patterns, owning your your decisions, owning your failures, owning everything, even your wins. And owning most of these things are more intimidating than than um than exciting. Okay? Because you think that owning a lot of things is supposed to make you feel powerful and not, but like if you're someone who who grew up not owning a lot of things, who who didn't own patterns, who didn't own decisions and all these things can be very intimidating, especially if you're someone who's been playing around all their lives. Okay? Who's been free all their lives. Okay? Not didn't own anything. Who was free. Okay? It's very intimidating to start owning patterns, to start owning your decisions, and especially in your failures and all of those things and responsibilities. But the thing is, you cannot change the world if you do not start with yourself. You will not be able to change anything without changing yourself. Now you're gonna hit me with the I'm 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 good enough. I don't need to change. Oh, shut up. Okay, shut up. If you want something different from what you have now, you cannot change what you have now until you change who you are. Because who you are now only has access to what you have now. If you want to have something else, you have to become the person that owns that. Because that's how the world works. That's how it works. That's how the universe works. It doesn't care about your past life and whatever. So let's get to the good part of this video, okay? How do we stop self-sabotaging ourselves, okay? This isn't about a quick fix, okay? Because there's no easy way out, I'm telling you. But it's not really a hard way out, okay? It's just hard because, life is hard because we make it hard. It's difficult because we make it difficult. And we're difficult creatures, that's why it's so difficult. So, yeah, this isn't a quick fix, okay? This is about a long-term transformation, okay? First thing that you need to do that this video is doing for you is raising awareness, okay? Notice when you are doing it, okay? Like if you have to, I recommend, I advise, I encourage you to journal your habits. Write down what triggers avoidance. Write down what triggers your doubts and fears and whatever negativity. Because because awareness does change everything. Okay? I started doing this recently. Okay? I started journaling my thoughts down, like writing down when I do what and when I start to shy away from responsibilities and when I avoid and why and blah 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 and what I feel in those moments. And it was really an eye opener how many times I have been my very own obstacles. And I am guilty of writing it down, seeing it, and pretending that I don't see it sometimes until it's too late. I am very guilty of being self aware and ignorant. Second thing that you need to do, you have to do these things, all of these things, okay, is you need to challenge your inner critique. When that voice tells you that you can't, like, sometimes that voice says, okay, you realize you're self-sabotaging, but you're self-sabotaging because you really can't. So, like, how is. I want you to ask that voice of yours, whose voice is that? Is it mine or someone else's from the past? Okay? Replace the lies that it's telling you with the truth, with your truth, with what you want to be true. Tell it, I am learning, I am growing, and I am allowed to take up space. I am allowed to fail. I am allowed to rise up again. And I am allowed to try once again, even with the possibility of failing, because I am going to keep learning until I get it. Challenge your inner critique. Prove it wrong. Okay? Number one was raising awareness. Number two, challenging your inner critique. Number three, let's talk about progress over perfection. Okay, let me tell you, done is better than perfect. Okay? Momentum is better than mastery. And honestly, I struggled with this personally. You know, I've held back because I wanted mastery first, because I wanted perfection, because I was insecure about making mistakes in front of the world. And, you know, I'm pretty sure you can understand this feeling because everyone goes through this feeling, but it's not a feeling that you have to entertain because it's going to hold you back. Okay? Life isn't about perfection. It's about movement. It's about moving forward, even if you have to trip over a rock to get over it and keep on moving. Life is about moving forward. It's about movement. So number one was raising awareness. Number two was challenging your inner voice. Number three was progress over perfection. Number four, let's talk about breaking big goals into micro steps. Okay, so I am guilty of doing this, you know, trying to do a big leap because I just want to get it overdone all at once. But don't try really, like, honestly, even though I do this sometimes, I advise not to do this because it, like, in the end it hurts no one but yourself. Like, in the end, at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt anyone but me. Don't try to do everything all at once. Okay? If you want to, if you want to write a book, start with one page. Start with a chapter. If you can't start with a page, it'd be crazy if you start with one sentence, okay, or like one word, but like, start with a page. Okay? You want to launch a business. You know, take your first client call. Ring up your first client, be like, hello, this is Marisha, and I'm calling if you guys will need some napa. I'm selling, and it's like 270. That's what I do every morning, by the way, because like we own our family owns a little farm, and me and my sister do run the sales. Okay, and so like every morning, I call up our clients to sell them napa, to sell them Chinese cabbages. Okay, sometimes I'm gonna be rejected, you know. Sometimes might get a sale. Okay, so yeah, take the first client call. You know, my first client call was awkward. You know, I had to it's uncomfortable. You know, I didn't really do it. I didn't really know anything, but it's working out now. And so, big dreams, you need to understand that big dreams are built with consistency. It's not built on one big leap. No. Okay? Small actions. And some steps can be very uncomfortable and possibly even painful. But passion and love for your goals make them tolerable. It makes it worth it. Okay? So that's number 4. Break big goals into micro steps that you can manage and that you can swallow. Okay, you can't swallow a whole beef. You gotta cut it up into bite-sized. Number 1 was raising awareness. Number 2 was challenging your inner voice. Number 3, progress over perfection. Number 4 was breaking big goals into micro steps. Now, number 5, let's talk about surrounding yourself with believers and not haters. Okay, so I want you to get around people who support you, who challenge you, and hold you accountable. Mentors, friends, communities with love and support at your beck and call, with them present. It's harder to sabotage yourself because, every time you're like, oh, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, they're there. No, you can do this, Marisha. You got this. I believe in you. I know you. You've planned this. You've done this and that. You've put your all into it. You can do this. Or when you're procrastinating because like you're so normal, like, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? You're supposed to be doing this and that. Get the hell up. I know you have things to do. You have greater plans for your future. With people who are supporting you, I don't mean like people who take you out to like party you and like get you drunk and stuff. No, those aren't friends. Those are liabilities. Okay? Because they are not only wasting your money, they are wasting your time. And in today's world, time time is your most precious resource because if you lose it, you're not getting it back. And like my dad said to me earlier this morning of this video, we are too young to be fooling around. So yeah, surround yourself with people who support you, challenge you, and hold you accountable. Okay? I have learned this the hard way. And isolation only feeds self-doubt. Unless you are someone with like really powerful like willpower, then you can go into isolation and you're going to do great. But if you're someone with a weak mindset and you often doubt yourself, you need to get around people who love and support you and hold you accountable and challenge you in every way. Moving on to number 6. Number 1 was raising awareness. Number 2 was challenging your inner voice. Number 3 was progress over perfection. Number 4 was breaking down your big goals into micro steps. Number 5 was surround yourself with believers. And number 6, let's talk about celebrating the small wins. You need to do this because this is going to motivate you and push you and encourage you, okay, to keep on going. It's going to fuel your fire, your passion. Celebrate the small wins because every win matters. That email that you sent, that task that you completed, that phone call that you took, even you got rejected, that boundary that you enforced, those moments build momentum. They build confidence. They are the proof that you absolutely can do it. So celebrate those wins. Don't celebrate and knock yourself out. No. Acknowledge it as proof that you can do it. That's what I mean by celebrating them. Number 7, lastly. Number 1 was raising self-awareness. Number 2 was um, challenging your inner voice. Number 3 was progress over perfection. Number 4, breaking big goals into micro steps. Number five was um, surrounding yourself with believers. Number 6, celebrating the small wins. And lastly, number 7, let's talk about giving yourself permission to fail. This is very important because you need to give yourself permission to fail. You need to support yourself to fail because failure is inevitable. Those who win have failed their entire lives. You will stumble, you will mess up, and you need to realize that it is okay, that it is proof that you are breathing and you are in this game and you are alive. Life is like a video game, okay? And each level gets harder. Each boss, each obstacle is always going to be stronger. But the only way that you win is that you don't quit. That you keep playing. That's the only way it goes. So let's get over it again. Okay, number 1, raising awareness. Like realizing and noticing the things that you are doing. Number 4, challenging your inner voice and telling it to shut the hell up. And is number 3 was progress over perfection. Life is about moving forward. It's about momentum. It's not about being perfect. Number 4, breaking big goals into micro steps because we can't swallow a whole beef. You got to break it down into bite size to eat through the whole thing. Number 5, surround yourself with believers, not haters, because they're going to put you down, they're going to take you out partying, they're going to waste your money, and they're going to waste your time. Number 6, celebrate the small wins. And when I say celebrate, I don't mean go out and drink and blah, blah, blah. I mean acknowledge it as proof that you are capable, that you can do it. And number 7, lastly, last of all, the one that we just got over, give yourself permission to fail because success is in failure. So now I want to ask you and myself some hard questions. Where have I been my own obstacle? Where have I avoided my responsibilities in life, in my decisions? What fear is holding me back from taking action towards my goals, towards my dreams? Answering these questions honestly is very uncomfortable. I'm telling you, it's going to be very uncomfortable because inevitably you are admitting that you are wrong. It's admitting that you messed up. Okay? It is admitting that you failed yourself. Okay? It's very uncomfortable. But growth is always uncomfortable. And the truth, you cannot escape. Okay, you cannot escape failure. You cannot escape it. So might as well face it and succeed. You won't be able to avoid the consequences of avoiding them, okay? You won't be able to escape the consequences. So here's a challenge. I want you, if you can't escape it, just face it. Stop escaping. Stop blaming others. Stop waiting for permission from someone else. Give yourself permission. Take responsibility for your life. Because if you do not do this, if you do not start taking responsibility for your life, you are going to repeat the same patterns, and you're going to inevitably repeat the same kind of life that you have until you lay in the grave. You are going to inevitably continue standing in your own way. And you're going to keep wondering why your dreams feel out of reach. But if you do, if you stop escaping, if you face the music, if you go into it, amazing things start to happen. Yes, you might fail here and there, but you become the person that you were meant to be. You will step into your potential. You will stop self-sabotaging yourself. I have been guilty, 100% guilty as charged, that I will admit that I ran from my responsibility. I have been running, even with this video that I made. I, 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 I use the excuse of, as being a perfectionism, for perfectionism, I procrastinated, I had a lot of self-doubt, I did a lot of negative talk and blah blah, all of these things, except for quitting. But yes, I am so guilty, even in the making of this video. I am guilty of running from responsibility. I am guilty of being afraid. I am guilty of doubting myself, and I am done. And it is time that you do the same. And with that said, are you ready to take responsibility for your life? Are you ready to stop giving yourself permission to quit? To stop saying that it's okay to quit? Are you ready? Because let me tell you, if this video resonates with you, I want you to subscribe and comment below with one way that you are going to stop sabotaging this time. And let's hold ourselves accountable together. I want you to remember that success isn't just about strategy. It's about awareness, it's about responsibility, and it's about taking action and moving forward. Whether you fail, despite what obstacle lies ahead and what challenges we may face. Because in them, that is where we will collect the pieces that's going to piece together our success. So change your inner world, and your outer world will follow. So this is my comeback and my promise to myself, and now it is yours. Let's take over our lives, let's stop hiding, and let's get the hell to work. And yes, maybe even the world. So see you in the next one.